Hello everyone. I think I'm live. Happy Sunday. Hi Joan. Hi Stormy. Stormy is my moderator in here. I'm just going to go right ahead and get right into the December intuitive astrology and energy forecast. We're going to talk about what's coming up, how to navigate the energies, the best way to work with the energies, and which signs, placements might have more of a time. It's not going to land the same for everybody. It will not resonate the same for everyone, but the collective theme will tend to be very similar, okay? Hi, Pat. Happy Sunday. No, I didn't send a link, Jan. It was just public on YouTube. It's going to go out in the newsletter. Hi, Nancy. This is separate from my subscription. All right, so let's get right into December. I'm actually going to present this. Let's see if it will let me do it. Yes, it did. I think you can all see this, right? Hi, Angela. This will be posted to the channel after, okay? Happy birthday. Hi, Bailey. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the quote for the month of December, try and remember this and come back to it as often as you need to. From outer chaos to inner focus. Because we know we cannot control what goes on outside of us. We can control what's in here. And just being more present with self and more aware just helps us deal with whatever's going on the outside. It helps us to respond versus react more authentically and more in alignment with how we might really want to represent ourselves versus getting hopped up off of emotion. Because it is very emotional right now, right? Very chaotic. So again, for the month of December, just come back to this as much as you need to, from outer chaos to inner focus. Now, this month, I'm saying this month, we're still in November, but starting December, we're going to have two significant retrogrades at the same time. Mercury is stationary right now, so I apologize if I start flubbing my words or looking for words to say. Mercury is very much stationary, about to station retrograde tomorrow on the 25th. So Mercury will station retrograde tomorrow, and that's how we start the month of December off. But then we've got Mars, the planet of energy and action and, vigor and valor and courage. We've got Mars stationing retrograde on December 6th. So Mars is getting ready to backspin. And what that means is, just like the thumbnail for this video says, it's messy and mesmerizing all at the same time, because there's a lot of good here to be found, but at the same time, there's also a bit of, confusion, and it can feel a little topsy-turvy. And if you are a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and or if you have a lot of mutability, which is Sagittarius, Virgo, Pisces, or Gemini, you may really be feeling ramped up right now, and that will likely increase over the next few weeks. And it's definitely going to feel scattered, mentally scattered, emotionally scattered. So it's very important, again, to go back to from the outer chaos to the inner focus. Get out into nature. Take walks. Make sure you take breaks. It's so easy for us to be sitting at our desk, for example, and holding our breath. We often don't realize we're doing it. I do the same thing. And I have to remind myself, put my shoulders down, take a few deep breaths, unclench my jaw. It's not that serious all the time. It's hard to remember to do that, but when we just make it a point to stop and check in with self, it's just extremely helpful. And so all these little things, getting fresh air, turning off the devices, getting away from the TV. Again, there's so much going on outside right now. We have to go inward. It's very important. We have to, be with self. So this is a stimulating and activating month on all levels. It's a holiday season. We've got two retrogrades going on. So I would also suggest pulling into the energy of Jupiter, because Jupiter is the planet that rules Sagittarius. Sagittarius season just began on the 21st. So happy birthday to all of the Sagittarius souls. It is your season. And Sagittarius in and of itself is a rather optimistic sign. Again, ruled by expansive Jupiter. It's about fun and optimism, and it's more of a lighthearted energy. And that doesn't mean it will be that way all the time or feel that way all the time, but there's just a reminder to look for the good, find the silver lining. There's always something to be grateful for, right? Gratitude is the attitude, very important. And so pulling into the energy of Jupiter this month in December, staying in that space of optimism, or at least trying to as best as you can, because we're human at the end of the day, right? Staying in that space of optimism, compassion, generosity, and expansiveness, it goes a really long way. So December is a special month for a lot of different reasons. It's obviously the last month of the year, but more than that, we're starting the month off with a new moon, and we're actually ending the month, December 30th, with another new moon. So we've got bookends, new moons this month, and it's also, there's a lot of accelerated wrap-up energy, and it's not just because we're at the end of the year, it's because of a lot of what the planets are doing. So again, with this wrap-up energy, it's asking us to really get real with ourselves about what we really want, how hard we're willing to work for it, what we need to let go of, because there's a lot of relationship stuff that has been going on and will continue to go on and to move forward. And it's about being able to release ourselves from toxic patterns, toxic mindsets, toxic behaviors, and in some cases, even toxic relationships, and letting go with grace, okay? Letting go with love. Going into the heart space and recognizing that when something is expired, it is okay to do away with it, because otherwise, it's like drinking spoiled milk, right? You're going to get sick eventually. Relationships work the same way. Situations work the same way. And there's something to be said about recognizing it. And if you can't make moves just yet, that's okay. Just being aware and being in that energy and making a vow to move forward at some point is helpful. And December 1st, we have a Sagittarius new moon that takes place at 9 degrees of Sagittarius, 1:21 a.m. Eastern time. Obviously set your time zone. And I am going to post a new moon reading, which will be separate, so I'm not going to get too much into that right now. But what I will say about this new moon is that it is in a harsh aspect to the planet Saturn. It's moving into closer into a harsh aspect with the planet Saturn. And even though Saturn's involved, Saturn's a reality check. Okay, Saturn lets us know, yeah, you can have that, you can do that, but you need to do this first. There's still more work to be done. So there could be this feeling of a little bit of a restrictive energy as we start the month off, but at the same time, there's a lot of hope and excitement about the future. So I would say that you can set intentions with this new moon, and I would set intentions with this new moon. But because Mercury's retrograde and Mars is stationary, Mars is getting ready to station retrograde, you want to do it very mindfully. You want to do it very cautiously, and you want to use it for, probably the best way to use this is to look at it as for things that you already have in motion or that you're already working on. This is a great new moon for setting another level of intention or goals on something that's existing, okay? Sagittarius is the archer. Shoot for the stars, right? Aim high. But just also, Saturn, remember what's possible and where there are restrictions, and to honor them for what they are, to honor the energy for what it is, like I always say. Okay, so this will be most potent for Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo, and Pisces, also Aries and Leo, and even more so if your points and or placements fall between 7 to 11 degrees of any of these signs. Now, you can always pull up your birth chart right on my website. I'll have Stormy pop the link in there. You can pull up your birth chart, chart your placements, and set an intention in the areas of life where that new moon will fall for you. Mercury will also be retrograding through this part of your birth chart. So remember, there's probably going to be a bit of reevaluation that comes up, a bit of revisiting of certain situations, of certain relationships. Just know that that's the energy. This is the energy. This is where we're at, okay? Again, I'm going to go into this more deeply in the Sagittarius new moon reading. So if you want to get a leg up, here's the houses, but always check your chart because it's very precise by degrees, okay? I also have a free download through the houses of the birth chart on my website. I've got some paid courses, some free courses, content there. So always feel free to go and peruse over there for some more insights if you're interested in tracking your own personal astrology more. Okay, December 6th. Well, I missed an important, I'm sorry, I didn't put it on the slides, but December 5th, right off the heels of the new moon and right on the heels of Mars, the planet of energy, action, drive, courage, fighting, aggression, Mars is stationing retrograde. But right before that, Mercury retrograde is going to have his inferior conjunction, Cazimi, otherwise known as with the sun. So it's when Mercury conjuncts the sun. Mercury retrograde at 14 degrees, I think. Yeah, it takes place at 9:18 p.m. Eastern time at 14 degrees and 27 minutes of Sagittarius. A Cazimi moment it's basically when Mercury passes through the heart of the sun. And so the properties of the planet Mercury, which is communication and information, it becomes energized by the sun. And so this spot could be where we have some clarity. You could receive some clarity on a relationship issue that's been plaguing you, or a situation, a work situation, whatever it is where you've been looking for an answer or looking for that aha moment. Mercury Cazimi can absolutely bring in some form of clarity there for you, okay? So pay attention to that, and pay attention to what gets you going, as Mars will be stationing retrograde right at this point. Also know with Mars stationing that your physical energy levels can certainly be all over the place. So you could feel really fired up, really charged up, really ramped up, and then you just fall asleep. You know, you're exhausted, as in the images here, all over. More angry, irritated, frustrated, all the things. Again, I'll be back with the Mars retrograde reading as well. Now, remember, a lot of things can be true at the same time. So a lot of these energies might sound contradictory, but so we have the Mercury Cazimi, we have Mars getting ready to station, we have Mars stationing on the 6th. And then we have December 4th through the 8th, this little range here. We've got the Sun and Mercury squaring Saturn. And this could feel like very frustrating. You know, frustrations and agitations can mount. It's cooler out, at least where I am, but the heat is on, okay, energetically speaking. So just remember to breathe and to nurture yourself, take care of yourself, all the things we talked about in the beginning. But more than that, Mercury is currently in Sagittarius. Mercury does not favor Sagittarius, okay, because Mercury favors Gemini, which is the opposite to Sagittarius. And therefore, in Sagittarius, Mercury struggles a little bit, okay? But the thing is, Sagittarius is constantly on the quest for more knowledge, more information, more knowledge. And Mercury is the communicator, the cosmic megaphone, right? So Mercury retrograde in a sign that Mercury doesn't particularly love to be in, doesn't feel the most comfortable. And retrogrades can be messy. And Sagittarius is also about the media, as is Mercury. So we have these two. And then we've got this energy of the Sun and Mercury squaring off with Saturn. And it could just be, I would watch the headlines, you know, the first 2 weeks of December. There could be a lot there that feels very frustrating for many, if not all. And then there could also be some things that land for you personally. So again, just take a few deep breaths, knowing that things will probably feel confusing at this point, but that doesn't mean it's the end game. So it's about staying in the space of optimism and faith and hope and dealing with reality as it is, but also recognizing that things are unclear right now, okay? So retrograde, the RE words, revise, revisit, reevaluate. We realign once the retrograde is officially clear, okay? December 7th, we've got Venus, planet of connection, relationships, money. We've got Venus moving into Aquarius until January 2nd. And we've also got Ceres, asteroid Ceres moving into Aquarius until February 23rd. And so this is more like head and heart, okay? This is about what feels right, but, you know, following your heart, but taking your brain with you. So this energy could be very helpful for that. I have another little quote in here that I love. The unconventional proves exceptional. With Venus in Aquarius, there's something here about doing things a different way. So if you're not getting the results that you hope for, do it a different way. Think about it differently. See how you can change it, and maybe that will work for you better. Okay, December 7th, Neptune is stationing direct at 6:43 p.m. at 27 degrees, 8 minutes of Pisces. And Neptune is one of those tricky ones because it's like periphery. It's in the background, but we really do feel it. And it's when Neptune stations direct, I feel like it's more muddy. It's still more confusing. So we've got this Mercury situation, we've got this Mars situation, and now we have Neptune. What I will say with this is I always focus on this type of energy right here. To me screams, you know, prioritize your health. we're all more receptive right now, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. There's things going around, right? It's getting cold. It's wintertime, at least where I am. There's a lot of things going around. So you just want to protect your health, okay? Protect your peace as well. Be smart. Now, personally speaking, where does Neptune fall in your chart? Check your chart. What about Pisces? And particularly if you have anything between 27 and 29 degrees. Again, with this, I feel like there could be a lot of clarity. You could get that piece of clarity that you've been wanting for months at this point, at some point in this corner of December, okay? And also, do you have any planets in your 12th house? Because that's a house of Neptune. Now, December, I'm going to just stretch this out. I'm going to basically say up until the 15th of December, just know that it's really charged up. We've got Jupiter in an aspect with Pluto, a sesqui-square, and this could also feel frustrating, but there's also a lot of growth that can happen through opportunity. But you want to be careful. You want to watch out for senseless overexertion, right? Mars is retrograde, energy levels are all over the place, feelings are all over the place. We want to watch out for the overexertion of energy and conflict because we're all going to be feeling like we want to assert ourselves. We want to assert our position in one or more areas of life. And this could also be where your own beliefs are questioned and may change by things that come up this month. Remember, it's a messy month. Messy, collectively speaking, by way of information. You have to be discerning. So stay open, stay present, and stay aware, and just try to stay out of unnecessary conflict. Then on the 15th of December, we have our Gemini full moon. And, Gemini is mutable, just like Sagittarius, and the messy and the mesmerizing are enhanced, okay? There's a lot of magic here. I would suggest that if you're looking for insights too, before you go to sleep, give it to the divine, write it out. Very intuitive energy, so you could receive a lot through the dream space. But again, it's messy and it's mesmerizing. So again, I'll come back with a full moon reading as we get towards this point, but it is the strongest for Gemini, Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius. The mutable signs are the players for the month. Also Aquarius and Libra. And again, more specifically, 21 to 25 degrees of those points and or placements in those signs, I mean. And if that gets lost on you, don't worry about it. Just take the information. If you want to get ahead of the game, again, here is where it will be for you by your rising sign. And then also, because we have a full moon, which is always heightened energy, heightened awareness, right? Heightened intuition, heightened emotions. Everything's heightened around this full moon, the good and the not so good. On top of that, we have Mercury stationing direct on the 15th. So yes, in some ways, that's great. Mercury's the ruler of Gemini, don't forget. So Mercury's really enhanced right now, and the shenanigans of Mercury are really enhanced right now. And so this could feel like nervous system overload. So again, take care of yourself. When Mercury stations direct, it will be at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. So Mercury spends the whole retrograde in Sagittarius. Don't expect things to feel instantly clear because it doesn't work that way. And in fact, I think that it's going to be even messier at this point. This particular full moon, I just, be careful driving. Just watch yourself out there because not everybody knows what's going on, but you do. So just be a little bit more aware about it and use it as you move about your days. Now then on December 21st, the sun will enter Capricorn, 4:20 a.m. Eastern. Happy birthday, Capricorn. And it's the winter solstice here in the northern hemisphere, the summer solstice in the southern hemisphere. It is the light and dark, right? The shadow, the light, everything is equal. It's not equal, because we have our shortest day of the year and the longest night of the year. And there's something very symbolic about this. I really love these corners of the year, the equinoxes and the solstices, as many do, because we all feel them energetically. We feel them spiritually. They're very symbolic of letting go, of shedding the old, of shedding what is not working to bring forth the new. And that's why I say with manifestation is intention, right? That's all it is. And when we are looking ahead, I find it to be very stressful and daunting to go out so far. That's why I like to do it like the corners, like the solstice to the equinox. And, for example, think back to where you were in September when we had the autumn equinox or the spring equinox. And now when we get to the solstice point, use that as like your benchmark, okay, of what has been going on in this little corner and what are you feeling good about? What are you feeling not so good about? It just helps it makes it more digestible and it's less stressful. Besides, who can really remember unless you're journaling every step of the way what you're doing, right? So it's just more helpful to do it that way. But I would definitely use this point to set some intentions, to check in with yourself, spiritual checkup, see where you're at. There's a lot of opportunities to do that this month with the retrogrades that we have as well. Now, on the 24th, Jupiter will square Saturn. But I want to be clear, we're already feeling this energy because both Jupiter and Mercury are retrograde, right? And then on top of that, Saturn's now direct, but Jupiter is going to square Saturn exact again on the 24th of December at 14 degrees of Gemini and Pisces, okay? Saturn's at 14 of Pisces and Jupiter's at 14 of Gemini. So stay grounded, but remain open to change. This is stop-start energy. It can be very frustrating, and at the same time, it can feel like we're moving forward or we're making strides, and then there's the brick wall, Saturn, the brick wall, the restrictive reminder. Jupiter is the great expander. Jupiter likes to expand, and Saturn is the contractor. Saturn constricts. Saturn's like, well, no, not yet. You still have to do this. And the thing is, because these are social planets, it could be, our actions could be colored by outside situations, right? So we just want to watch that because we have to remember that all we can control is what's in here, not what's going on out there, okay? And there's going to be a lot going on. Just know that. Messy. Now to backtrack for a moment, Jupiter and Saturn were exactly square on August 19th. So you can think back if you want to, do some reflection later on and think back to where you were, what was going on in your reality. You may nothing of note might come up, but for some of you, especially if you journal, you may find a common thread here, okay? This is part of a broader cycle, a larger cycle that's going to continue to unfold. This story will continue to unfold, even if it's a background story for you. It will continue to unfold over the coming years. It's not a one and done energy. I want to be clear about that. So just for a frame of reference, then on December 24th, Jupiter and Saturn will square again. And then on June 15th of 2025. So it's operational this whole time, that stop-start energy and, feeling like we're moving forward and then it's like, boom, boom, pump the brakes. Now we have to move back. And then on December 29th, Chiron will station direct, Chiron the wounded warrior, at 19 degrees of Aries. This is a reminder that what hurts can also be very medicinal. We feel to heal. There's a strong reminder here with Chiron stationing direct that you are the warrior. You are your own hero, right? No one's going to save you more than you save yourself, right? You have to save yourself at the end of the day. And there's a strong recognition of and pride here because it's Aries about the courage that you hold and the strength that you have and how far you've come. Think about that. You can also check your chart to the part that contains Aries for more insights as to where this could play out for you or where you may be feeling this. And then on the 30th, we've got the Capricorn new moon. So we've got the Sagittarius new moon to start the month on the 1st. And then we've got Capricorn new moon on December 30th to almost close out the month and the year, which is very symbolic. And this takes place at 5:27 p.m. Eastern. At 9 degrees of Capricorn. Again, strongest for our cardinal signs, Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, and Aries. Also Taurus and Virgo are earth signs. And even stronger if those placements fall between 7 and 11 degrees, okay? Again, 2 opportunities really here this month to get clear on what is not working for you and what you might need to change and where you want to put your energy as we move into a new year, okay? Because next year is a year of it's a 9. This year was an 8. Lots of karmic closure, karmic cycles ending, new situations beginning, recognition of where we need to let go, especially when it comes to relationships, because the South node's in Libra, North node's in Aries. And that's accelerating as we move to the end of the year because the nodes are going to shift the beginning of next year. We'll go into more of that as we move along. But all of that to say, I close this out December 31st. Pluto, now in Aquarius, is going to be in an aspect to the North Node, sextile, supportive aspect to the South Node as well, trine. And just to bring it back to what I said at the very beginning, the significance on not just relationships, but any toxic situations in your life. Now, by the way, I always say this, toxic is subjective, right? You can be involved with someone who's toxic for you, but that does not mean they're a toxic person. Let's remember that. It just means they're toxic for you. There's something about that situation or that relationship that doesn't sit right with your soul and your spirit. Therefore, it's toxic for you. Doesn't mean someone's toxic necessarily. Some are, of course, but it doesn't mean that. It just means it's toxic for you. There's something about it that doesn't sit right with you. And that's okay to honor that and own that and make a plan to release what is not working for you. Because guess what? As we all know, when we hang on past an expiration date, the universe does it for you at some point. And it might be in a way that would be a lot worse if you had just let go when you really felt it was time to do so, okay? And not everything deserves a whole long-winded explanation or story, because chances are if something's not working for you, it's not working for the other person or the other party or the other group or whatever it is. The dynamic's not right. So just keep that in mind. And I say this because the nodes are about destiny, right? These are the destiny points, and the nodes of the moon right now will be at 1 degree of Aries and Libra, getting ready to shift back into Virgo and Pisces. So there's a story, a part of your story that's going to be closing out so that a new chapter of your story can begin. But we can't enter the new chapter until we close or finish reading, I should say, the last one. It doesn't mean you have to take action tomorrow. It's just letting you know if you're feeling extra stressed or this push, this thrust forward, like you have to do something, you have to change things. This is what it's all about. Karma, okay? The image here is actually the image on the Lover's card in the tarot, which again, this is about change. It's about choice and it's about change. And every choice that we make has a consequence. The choices that we don't make have consequence as well, right? And so this is, again, this doesn't mean you have to do anything. It's just saying recognition. We're aware. And it's especially strong when it comes to relationships. The balance or imbalance in relationships, the patterns in the relationships, where we really know we need to let go, because we all know where we have our own ability to be toxic, right? Where we get in our own way and then therefore get in the way of certain relationships being healthier than they could be. It's dynamics. It's not one person or the other, right? It's dynamics. So that is the month ahead. I know there's a lot there. You can obviously always go back and listen to it again, stop it, check out the slides. And like I said, I've got everything on my website for you. So you can always go there, download. I have free downloads. I have some paid downloads if you want to go further with astrology, if you don't know. There's a lot of things on there. So come over into the chat here. Happy lunar return, Eden. It's also your lunar return. That's awesome. That's great for intention setting for you, for, bigger picture. And by the way, the Mars retrograde. So Mars is going to station retrograde on on December 6th. But I'm going to backtrack because Mars first entered the sign of Cancer in September, early September, I think on the 4th. And I bring this up because Mars in Cancer can be very frustrating. And it does pull a lot of focus onto our emotions, our intuition. But at the same time, it can make us feel a lot more emotional in not the best way. Like we could be feeling very bothered by, especially when it comes to family relationships, family dynamics. Even if it's not family of origin, it could be, relationships in general, which I keep driving home the point about that because it's such a big energy. But then Mars was in Cancer, and then this is significant because Mars entered Leo back in earlier this month. But when Mars stations retrograde, Mars will spend most of the retrograde through Cancer. So if you have anything between 17 and 29 degrees specifically of Cancer, Capricorn, Aries or Libra, you're really gonna, that's the hot spot. Those are the hot spots for the Mars retrograde. So you'll feel that energy that much more, okay, for better or worse. Also, if you are Aries rising, because Mars rules Aries. Same thing with Scorpio. Mars rules Scorpio. So again, you might feel that just a little bit more strongly. And I'll go into much more detail with my Mars retrograde reading about how that can affect you through the signs. Again, I just wanted to touch on that because Mars will station December 6th and will retrograde back into Cancer in January, early January. And we won't be clear of the shadow of the Mars retrograde until April. So we have some time here. And again, collectively speaking, there's a lot of reevaluation going on. So yes, Stormy, absolutely. So I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to mention that Otter Spirit, I have an affiliate with them, collaboration. Beautiful, authentic gemstones. I actually have the Abundance pack on right now, but I am a fan of the Protection pack, which is hematite, black lava, and tourmaline. I have a discount code as well, and they're having a huge Black Friday sale. So I'll ask my moderator to pop that link in the chat if you're interested. But stones are always a great way to protect your energy. Wear them on the left side because that's where we take in energy. Also, again, protecting your energy, like I said earlier, it's really about prioritizing who and what you spend your time with and where. And if you don't feel, you really have to be discerning. If you don't feel right about certain situations, don't go. You know better than anybody else. You have to trust that inner voice, the inner compass. Me too, Jan. I love their jewelry. It's beautiful. But you can also, I have tons of stones all over the place. So Tria, for you, that's probably going to be about relationships, big time. You may hear from somebody from the past where you feel like it's closed, like done deal, and maybe they don't feel that way, and you might get some really good information that helps you to move forward, or you may hear something that you've been needing to hear. But as far as you go, I would lay low and be more in receive mode. I wouldn't necessarily push right now, especially when it comes to your connections. And I would also watch your finances. It's the holiday season too, right? So there's always more potential to overspend. But I would be more careful about double check your credit card statements. I'm getting this intuitively for you too. Double check your credit card statements. Just make sure you don't get double charged, things like that. You should be fine. And for those of you that are traveling, because I thought I saw something go up in the chat about that, listen, Sagittarius is the sign of travel, long distance travel. So is Gemini, the opposite, and the sign that Mercury rules. And we have a Gemini full moon in the middle of the month. And we've got Mercury in Sagittarius and we've got Jupiter in Gemini opposing each other. And the thing is, think of it like this. They're kind of helping each other out because Mercury rules Gemini and Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and they're in opposite signs here of where they're comfortable. So they can kind of help each other out, but it's not the way it would be if things were quote unquote clear and straight right now. And the reason I say that is when it comes to travel, it could be messy because of weather. Just leave yourself a little bit of extra space. That's all that you can do. If flights get canceled, you have to accept that, right? If you're driving, just leave a little early. Watch the weather. Pay closer attention to it because the weather's been wacky, right? All over the place. So you want to watch that as well. It might be a little bit more wet. We might have a little bit more wind, but it should be fine. Don't live your life. That's what I always say. Live your life. You can't stop your life because planets are retrograde. You can't. But it's important to be aware, and then you triple check. You really make sure before you do things. And if you don't have to do them, then you can always wait. But again, it's just about being aware of it. That's all. You're very welcome. Is it a bad time to undergo orthopedic surgery? So Karen, I feel like it's unethical for me to answer health questions, especially without your chart in front of me. If I was doing a private reading for you, that would be different, but I can't really answer that. I will say this. I don't love elective surgeries. If it's not mandatory, I don't love surgeries, especially when Mars is retrograde. It's not my favorite time. Mercury, it's okay. I mean, it depends, but Mars, I don't love it because Mars also rules surgery. It doesn't mean anything bad's going to happen though. If you do have to do it and you go through with it, but I don't love it. I'll be honest. Just overall, general rule of thumb. Saturn, yeah, I know. I understand. Saturn, if you can look at Saturn, I call Saturn the misunderstood miser. That's what I refer to Saturn as. By the way, I just did a very detailed reading on Saturn with another astrologer. It's on my channel. You may want to go and listen to it. It's a part one. There will be a part two. But I talked a lot about Saturn through, we talked a lot about Saturn through the signs and Saturn through the houses as they pertain to your life. But for Pisces people, you've had Saturn in your sign since 2023. And I look at it as, you know, Saturn's all about boundaries, and Pisces is a sign that can sometimes be boundaryless and have trouble with boundaries, right? So again, I would look at it as what needs more of your attention and what have been the areas where you've been feeling like you've been getting a lot of reality checks, right? Or you might have been asleep, you know, spiritually speaking, you're now more awake. You're seeing things more for what they really are. So yes, that would feel like it's hard to stay grounded there. I always say with your Saturn, especially Saturn in Pisces, look at what Pisces represents, right? Pisces is all about faith, spirituality, our spiritual core. It's about the belief in that which we cannot see, as opposed to always just what's directly in front of us. And that's what Saturn is. Saturn's like, what's real? What's in front of me? Where Pisces is more about what's not in front of me. It's not what's tangible, but it's about what we feel. So it can get a little confusing. But if you look at it as, you know, again, I would give you the advice of going inward. Hopefully you have some spiritual practices that you can pull into, which spiritual practices, that doesn't mean you sit in meditation for 5 hours. A spiritual practice could be just going for a walk in the woods, you know, in nature. If that's how you cleanse your energy and you receive information that way. Those are the things I'm talking about. Having some form of ritual that you can refer back to, that you can go back to, that makes you just stronger, you know, secure your core. I would do things such as that. Oh, Karen, I'm sorry. If this is of any consolation to you, I feel like your son is going to be okay. I do. Oh, that's an excellent book, The Happy Wanderer. The Saturn, Liz Green's Saturn book. Saturn and a Look at an Old Devil. Excellent, excellent, excellent book. Love that book. Okay, good. Just pull into that then. Sounds like you have it covered. And honestly, just reading more about Saturn and about your Saturn placement and Saturn in general. Again, remember, he's the misunderstood miser. The more we can like pull into what he's trying to teach us or show us, especially the repetitive lessons, the more we just lean into that, the more it gets easier, I would say, because Saturn doesn't want to, you know, stop us completely. He just wants us to understand the benefit of really wanting something. It's like, well, do you really want that? And if so, are you really willing to do what needs to be done to get it? That's how Saturn operates. Don't get me wrong. He can also be a real, you know what, but it's not typically, and again, with Saturn, it's always about maturation, right? That's another word for Saturn, maturation. So the more we mature on our journey here, which has nothing to do with age, by the way, spiritual evolution is what I'm talking about. The more that we evolve here on our journey, the more Saturn rewards you. Okay. Although sometimes it doesn't feel like a reward. Sometimes it feels like a smack on the hand, but then later you see how that reroute had to happen to get you where you needed to go. So I always just say to be patient. As long as you know that you're doing what you can do, that's when you step back and you let, you know, higher power, the divine, however you look at that, you let that work through you and take you where you need to be. Not where you want to be always, but where you need to be. Oh, thank you, Karen. Hi, Addison. It's nice to see you. Hello from Scotland. I mean, yes, hi in Scotland. You found it on the street. That's hysterical. See, but that was meant for you. That was Saturn, the teacher, slapping it right in front of your face saying, here, read this. You must read this book. Yes, Joan, lots of self-reflection. Don't feel like you have to, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Don't feel like you have to Be social when you don't want to be, because I feel like your social battery is going to be pretty drained this month. And Scorpio and rising is also, yeah. Also, because Mars is getting ready to station as well, I want you to, you're one of the people with the hot spots. I would say just prioritize sleep. Make sure that you're doing what you can to get sleep as best as you can. I think you'll be okay. I think it'd be great for you for intuitive work. I don't know if you do any form of, I don't know if you work with oracle cards or automatic writing or anything like that. This would be a good energy for you to work on things like that. Hey, Natalie. Well, stay tuned for that one. Again, like I always say, it's not about spiritual bypassing and pretending that everything's fantastic, because listen, it's rough right now, but we have to try and focus on the good, right? We have to find the silver lining always. And so that's what I'm intending to do for all of you for my channel. Of course, giving the information, giving the realistic astrology and the energies, but also giving you more, beneficial ways of working with it and accepting it. And FYI, also I do, if you like this, I do weekly lives every Sunday. It's a private stream that I do for my subscribers on my newsletter. So you can always check that out. I do monthly. If you like this, I also do a detailed live channeled readings for each sign, channeled messages for each sign. I do that for my subscribers each month. So you can always go check out that if you appreciate this and want to look a little further. So when they begin to get lighter, well, we got some years here. I'm not going to lie. We have some years here. So I think that I know that we are in the midst of tremendous changes to our country, to society, to the collective energy in general. And there's a lot of things shifting quite quickly. But I will say this, as we move into 2028, 2029, 2030 and beyond, what's been broken down is really beginning to rebuild. So yes, eventually. But remember, Pluto's in Aquarius now. And Aquarius is the sign of community. It's the sign of friendship and groups and being with like-minded souls and those that, are working together for a common cause. So I think this is going to be a great time for communities, for people really coming together. It's also digital, right? Online communities like this, it doesn't have to be face-to-face. But there's something to be said about the people coming together, okay? Higher power, higher cause. So let's keep that vibration up as best as we can. Natalie, it is right here. I'll just pop my website here. If you want to pull up your birth chart, you can do it right where it says free birth chart. If you're talking about a reading, you can also do that right on my website. Hi, Annette. Okay, probably going to wrap this up now. So for those that were here live, it was great to see you, even though I can't see you, but it's great to communicate with you here through the chat. Make sure you subscribe if you don't subscribe to my channel. And also subscribe to my newsletter. The links are somewhere in this chat. I could probably pop it in there again. Oh, thank you. Have a great night, everybody. Have a good month. Remember, breathe, okay? We will get through it. Remember that not as all as it seems right now. Things are messy, but again, messy and mesmerizing, the themes for the month ahead, okay? So take good care. I appreciate you all as well. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening or day wherever you are in the world, and good month, okay? And I'll be back with the new moon reading will be posted shortly for December 1st. Take care.